All right, GB, let's do our power rankings here after 5 weeks in the NFL season. I can't even believe it's going that fast. Let's start with number 10. I'll set it off. I went Cowboys here. I don't know if they're higher on your list or not, but at the end of the day, they're winning ugly this season, and they're losing ugly too. But when they do win these games, it's all because of Dak. Dak has now reached the point of his career, and it's probably because all the money he makes, where he just doesn't have the benefits he used to. He doesn't have the top offensive line. He doesn't have Zeke in his prime like he used to have. He doesn't have all these great wide receivers. He has CeeDee Lamb, the end. And yet he's still making plays, winning games for the Cowboys. So I have to give Dak his props there. I'll go Cowboys at 10. Where'd you go?
He doesn't have any good teammates. Yes, it's because of the money he's making.
Yeah.
It's also because of who's his general manager and a man that likes to wait till the end of free agency.
I knew it was coming.
And wait, Dak, you want $200 million? No, give it time. I'll give you $233 million, and I'll really screw this roster over. Just wait for that. Same thing with CeeDee Lamb. 10 spots Tampa Bay for me, man. 10 spots. Okay. They lost to the Falcons. I know it. It was in prime time, but this is still a team that has all the right pieces. Their run game is improving, even as Rachaad White's volume is dropping off.
Yep.
But I just believe in Baker. I believe in the play calling. I believe in what Liam Cohen is doing as he's still learning as he goes along. This offense is good, and that's a banged-up defense. And this is in a better division than anyone is giving credit to, including me. I thought it'd be a walk for the Falcons. I thought the Saints would be a non-factor, and it is anything but that. So I really like Tampa at that 10th spot for me.
All right, 9, I went the Bills. I really almost want to drop them out of my top 10, but I can't because they have Josh Allen, and that's it. And by the way, for the first time in his career, I think he has a consistent run game. I like James Cook. I like what they're doing with the run game, but this is not the same Bills team either. I mean, we just talked about Dak not having the luxuries he once did. Josh Allen had weapons galore for years offensively. They did not have a run game, but he had weapons. Well, now he finally gets a run game. He has no weapons. And, oh, by the way, his defense is not as good. But despite all that, I don't like his coach either. Despite all that, Josh Allen is Josh Allen. They will remain in my top 10 simply because of that. They're contenders just because they have him, George.
Yeah, I dropped them out of my top 10. I mean, they've lost 2 straight weeks, and they got run off the field by the Ravens, and they were simply outcoached by the Texans. You mentioned Sean McDermott, him calling 4 straight pass plays deep in his own territory when they had to eat clock and just give themselves space to work with and could still make it a game. Yep. I mean, he bungled that all the way at the end. Josh Allen's been magnificent, but I was waiting, and I'm like, this magic's going to run out.
Yep.
And we see like you said, the lack of outside talent for the Bills rearing its head around. Like, let's keep in mind, like, he doesn't have any receivers, right? Cool. When he did have a great receiver, the Bills had to trade for him, and it was Stephon Diggs. Now, Khalil Shakir's good. Dalton Kincaid is serviceable as a good pass-catching tight end. But Keon Coleman is one of the worst wide receivers of the NFL at getting separation. He's not athletic. He's not fast. That pick did not make any sense when he really needed a guy on the outside. And they're dealing with it now. And as you mentioned, on top of that defense not being good, they got old and they aged out. Like, their safeties are gone. Their cornerbacks are gone. Everyone's a year older. This team is so banged up and so old, especially on the defensive side. I said it, this season for the Bills is a soft rebuild. It's a very soft rebuild because you have Josh Allen. They'll be in the playoff hunt. It's not an outright rebuild like what we see from the Giants or the Patriots or the Browns. It's a soft rebuild, and we're seeing it happen now. This is a bad team. Great quarterback, bad team. They're out of my top 10.
All right, number 8, I'm going with the team you predicted before the season that would be in the Super Bowl. I'm going Packers. Jordan Love has been back, but he didn't look like himself. I thought last week he finally looked like himself. I think the Packers are back. I didn't really argue with you on the Super Bowl thing coming into the season. I saw your vision. You remember I went Lions, but I think the Packers are about to get on a roll here, George. I really do. So I went Packers at 8.
I went Commanders at 8. Okay. Really good offense, great play calling, very good quarterback, good run game. I'm just skeptic. The schedule hasn't been that difficult.
Yeah.
But Jaden Daniels, man, with his talent and him being so smart.
Yep.
And when using his legs, how to use them wisely, the throws he can make, it keeps the Commanders in every game. And he's doing the best thing. Your defense sucks, keep scoring points. And that helps out the defense when their opponent is one-dimensional. I have the Commanders at the 8 spot.
All right, 7, I'm going Falcons here. I don't really believe in that team. I don't really believe in Kirk Cousins to win anything that matters. But in the regular season, George, even I got to admit, as a Captain Kirk hater, I mean, the guy puts up numbers, bro. And he does win games. And he is humming right now. He is having an MVP-like season. They go to where? Carolina this week? Please. We know how that's going to end. I'll go Falcons here at 7, even though I don't believe in them big picture. I mean, Raheem Morris has a defense playing well. Kirk Cousins, MVP level. Kyle Pitts, your boy, actually showed up. I like the Falcons here. I'll go Falcons at 7.
I like that spot a lot for them. I have them a tad higher. I went Packers in my 7th spot.
Okay.
And you mentioned it. And keep in mind, though, like they got out of LA with the win without Christian Watson because he's injured, without Romeo Doubs because he went AWOL, without Luke Musgrave, who's your starting tight end, and Tucker Kraft stepped up in a big way, and Jordan Love still working his way back. And again, going against Sean McVay. They run Sean McVay's system. Those are always going to be tough games against LA, no matter how banged up they are.
Sure.
This Packers team, the fact that they won a game without Jordan Love, the fact that they won games without Jordan Love speaks so highly of what they're doing right. They're going to get their footing. This is the lowest I'll have them, in my opinion, all season long as Jordan Love is still their quarterback. They're still stepping up, and that's an underrated Rams team because of how well coached they always are.
I should have this team higher, but we'll see after this week. I'm going Ravens at 6. Look, that was the best game I think I've seen this season. That Ravens-Bengals game was amazing to watch, and it's still Lamar magic. And I do believe that Derrick Henry, the way they're using him, I feel like he'll be healthy by the time the playoffs come around because they're not really running him as much as you would think, and I think that's strategically done. So I love this Ravens team. It feels weird for me to have them all the way down here at 6. And they look, I brought up this week for a reason, more on that later. But I just think ultimately I'll move them up higher. But for now, I'm going to keep them at 6 because even in that Bengals game, they were dead to rights. I mean, Joe Burrow was destroying that defense. And it was just like it is every week, Lamar magic that brought them back and had them and had them in that game. So I'll go Ravens here.
I have Falcons at the 6th spot. Our top 10s are very similar. By the way, that spread of them in Carolina, -6, if that's less than a touchdown, I'm laying those points once we get off of this podcast. It's because of the Falcons. It's their defense. And that sounds crazy to say, but they have the best safety combo in the league. And when Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons can do so much for you and limit so many offenses and control everything from the back end to the point where you know what's happening in front of you, it makes everyone's job in front of them a lot easier. Safeties used to be a pivotal position. We grew up watching the Brian Dawkins, the Troy Polamalu, the Rodney Harrisons, the John Lynches, right? The guys that were so pivotal for a defense's success, the Bob Sanders. It's not as valued of a position anymore, but Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons are showing why. Jesse Bates himself is showing why based off how bad this Bengals defense has been since he's left. But also when you get on the offensive side, they haven't figured out Bijan yet. But with the weapons on the outside, we saw Kyle Pitts show up. And I'm not going to detract from Kirk Cousins twice in primetime, stepping up with game-winning drives, needing to make magic happen, and he does. This is a beautiful buildup that's happening for Kirk, and he's not even yet at his best form. Same thing because they don't have their run game there yet. So that's Falcons at 6 for me.
Okay, my number 5 gave me a migraine. And here's why I brought up the Ravens schedule. At number 5, I have the Commanders. Those two play this week. This may be the only time this season, George, that I have the Commanders higher than the Ravens. And I just think it's going to be a daunting task for this Commanders team to go into the big crab cake in Baltimore and beat the Ravens. If they do, hey, I'll move them up even higher. I have them at 5. I have them ahead of the Ravens because I've been more impressed with what the Commanders have done. Ravens got off to a slow start. They're still not quite right. Commanders, I mean, bro, that Jaden Daniels looks like the real deal. So I like their weapons that he has with Scary Terry. They have a strong running game with Brian Robinson Jr., Austin Eckler getting involved, doing everything, Mr. Versatility. Like we know, they have a really good defense. Dan Quinn, defensive-minded head coach. I like what the Commanders are doing here, but I reserve the right to move them up or down based on what happens in Baltimore because some of me thinks – they haven't played anyone, George. And if they go out there in Baltimore and get smoked, I'm moving them way down, obviously. If they go in Baltimore and beat Lamar and the Ravens, hey, this is the real deal. I'm not ready to stamp them quite yet, George, but I have them at 5.
This is perfect. Ravens are my 5.
Okay.
And the defense has looked, especially coming off the week they just had is tough. But they have the run game. Lamar's still Lamar. I think they need one more outside playmaker.
Yep.
But it's still a very special team. I just really like the Ravens and their construction. I'll always believe in the coaching of John Harbaugh. The nucleus that they built there, I have the Ravens at the 5 spot. But the Commanders, man, they can prove a lot of people either wrong or a lot of people right with what they do on Sunday. This is a true litmus test. You're going to have an offense that can keep up with you. You're going to have a dynamic offense matching up. And it's the same thing. Very athletic quarterback, good deep ball passing quarterback, very strong run game. We'll see what defense steps up.
Yeah. Yeah, they could lose that game, the Commanders, and still kind of win it in terms of public opinion, and it could be a moral victory there for them. All right, I'm going Lions at 4. I've told you, they're the best roster in the league. I think they're going to the Super Bowl. They're coming off the bye. They're going to go into Dallas and kick the Cowboys' ass.
Keep it simple. I like that. I have the Texans at 4, and you'll understand why when I share my top 3, but Josh Allen, 9 for 30 from the field. Are you kidding me? You made Josh Allen seem human in a team that they can match up with in the playoffs. They did a great job containing them. Their man corners matching up outside and their safeties, same thing. And this offense is his offense. Nico Collins going down can affect them. He's on the IR with a hamstring for the next 4 weeks at minimum. Yep. So we'll see when he comes back. But I still believe in the talent they have. Like John Mechie's a def piece we haven't even really seen emerge yet. Yep. They have the play calling. They have the QB. This defense is gaining its ground. I really like how the Texans are constructed.
Hey, you don't have to sell me. I have them at 3. I believe in the Texans. And I said this to you earlier today. I think you can make a case they're the team to beat in the AFC. I know the Chiefs are unbeaten, but they are vulnerable. They're beat up. They're not the same. I don't believe they're going to three-peat. We'll see. But I think the Texans, by the way, who play the Chiefs, I'm looking at it here, they play the Chiefs and the Ravens in back-to-back weeks late in this season, December, January. I'm going Texans here at 3. I really am starting to believe in this team, and I think they have a real shot to go to the Super Bowl.
Where are those games when they match up in those back-to-backs?
They go on the road for the Chiefs, so that'll be interesting. Then they get the Ravens at home.
That's going to be a tough one. Arrowhead late in the year, really cold,
I know,
really loud.
cold.
I know. I have the Vikings in my 3 spot. They beat the Jets even with their offense out of sync, and that's a very good Jets defense they matched up with. They won with bad Darnold play. Like, I think that's huge that you see from a team. And week in, week out, what Brian Flores is doing on the defensive side of the ball, they have the best coordinator combination in the league. Kevin O'Connell's the head coach, but he's offensive coordinator. And Brian Flores is the defensive coordinator. They have the best coordinator combination in the NFL, and you're seeing it pay off with what they're working with. Vikings are 3 for me.
2, I'm going Chiefs. It's just Mahomes' magic. I don't even believe in this team. They're, like I said, they're vulnerable, but Kelsey's finally got it figured out. You know, he got off to a slow start this season, but him and Mahomes are doing what they always do. The defense is playing well. Andy Reid's the best coach in the world. You got to go Chiefs here.
Chiefs are 2. They're 5-0. Yeah. They beat the Jets with their offense, beating the Jets. But even with their offense looking awful, they found ugly ways to win crucial games. I mean, it's all about the defense for them. It's literally all about the defense. Yep. And when number 15 has to turn it on, no one's more clutch than him in the NFL. It's a perfect balance. All these injuries, what we saw them do against the Saints should further incline Brett Veach to go out and get a wide receiver, because Juju Smith-Schuster, who was cut by the Patriots, who have the worst wide receiver room in the league, was making huge game-changing plays for this Chiefs offense. That can only last so long. They better invest and get a receiver through the trade market, free agency, whatever, make something work, because they could waste another Super Bowl defense and, of course, another year of Mahomes and the potential to be the first team to three-peat in the Super Bowl era. Come on.
Yeah, well said. All right, I'm going Vikings 1. I had them 1 last week. I can't move them off of them when they're not losing games. I just think they're a complete team. They're well coached. I get it. It's Sam Darnold, but he's playing well. And they run the ball. The defense is amazing. Brian Flores is doing a great job as a coordinator there. Kevin O'Connell, you and I both like. I really like the Vikings. I don't believe in them big picture. This, at midnight, they're going to turn back into a pumpkin. I get it. They are Cinderella. But I can't take them out of my number 1 spot on my power rankings until they lose a game and they look human. Right now, they don't.
Lions are one for me. They didn't play a game. I can't move them. They looked so good last we saw them. You know what that roster is? Definitely needs to get better defensively, especially on the back end of that. But this Lions offense, when it's firing on all cylinders and everyone's healthy and clicking, is so dangerous. And you know me, man. I'm a big proponent. Go out, trade for Devontae Adams. Trade your first-round pick to get a defensive piece on the back end, too. Go all in because there's Super Bowl windows right now.
Where'd you have the Vikings on your list, bro? You hating on the Vikings? Three? All right. You know
they don't have Mahomes.
You know I don't pay attention that much.